don't know the total answer to your question, Charlie, but I do agree with you that it was my position, the reason we are proceeding with this is because if we didn't do anything, we would be negligent as a municipality. We had to do something. We can't just let it, get to the point where something falls off the hotel onto a public sidewalk or outside the building to the west side, and we haven't done anything about it. We are liable. We could be liable. So we absolutely have to do something about it. And how all these steps fall in place, we're taking them one at a time. I don't know exactly how it's all going to sort out, frankly.
But basically, today I went out in my yard and picked up 2 full shingles that had blown off the roof, and we haven't even had any bad wind of late. And they're laying halfway into my yard. Picked up one in the street again. People want me to go get them. I'll go pick them up. I don't mind it. Picking them up, that's not a problem. But the thing is, if one of these strikes someone from a 3rd story in any kind of wind, that's going to smart. And my only concern is about the building is this public safety.
Exactly, and that's the basis of Mike's report. Mike's inspection was based on public safety and possible hazards to the public.
Yeah, mostly the shingles and the thing about the building is it shares common space with town. It has 0 setbacks on 2 of the walls, and it has 3-story porches that actually overhang public sidewalks, which are in pretty bad state. I think potentially in an earthquake scenario, we could have a collapse on that front porch, which is over top of the sidewalk. So, there's definitely a pretty, it's a pretty risky situation. Rick?
Yeah, I've been here and I don't know, probably a dozen natural disasters, floods, windstorms, snowstorms that collapse buildings, and that hotel has stood up just fine. And I think we need to ask ourselves, have we gone out of our way to make this building habitable? Have we done the things that would help this owner really get this building going? Have we offered him grants? Have we forwarded him materials to help him? I think we really got to ask that question as a community, or is he just being ostracized? I've been through enough natural disasters to watch my house flood. I watched my neighbor's buildings collapse. And I know when I complained about a structure that came nowhere near the codes and in fact was built without permits and with defective permits, that the town failed to follow through with any action.
Was that your garage you're talking about, Rick?
No, it was Mike Schauber's garage.
Well, all I know is during the windstorm, I came within inches of being hit by one of those shingles. And if it would have hit me, it would have hurt, believe me. But that was a natural thing going on. It was heavy winds, so it could have been a limb off of a tree or anything. You can't really single that out maybe, but the conditions were really bad. But still, it was like within inches.
Yeah. I think the thing is if we got notice of what was going to take us out, we'd all live forever. George?
Well, I guess in response to Mr. Adelot's statement, I guess the other question is, has the owner of that building done anything to improve the site or shown any effort whatsoever to show some care and feeding to that building? He has been nothing but a sore spot and a nuisance to this town since he moved in here, and has absolutely never shown any interest in doing anything positive to that building.
Julie, you had a question? And then Jerry.
Yeah, my name's Julie Kohler. I reside at 603 33rd Avenue in Seattle. And I just want an answer to your question about the availability of grants, low-interest loans, and tax abatement incentives. There are numerous such incentives available to the property owner to which they could apply for at any time by virtue of being listed as a historic building.
And Julie, isn't it true that there was a group of people, and I think you were here as well, that came up here with the Historical Society to see if there was something that could be done to remediate the situation with the hotel? discussions were held with the hotel owners, and they basically, as I understand it, refused to help.
That's correct.
Jerry was next, and then you went on.
Well, that was kind of my question, I was under the impression there was a grant given to him maybe 5, 6 years ago to do stuff in that hotel.
I don't know, Jerry. I don't know. Marilyn?
Oh, I was under the understanding that right after hotel was moved back, that Dieter had applied for a permit to demolish the building. Could be hearsay, but,
I think he's.
or I misunderstood what
He had
said.
some, he's been seeking the possibility of demolishing it, but he has not applied for a permit.
Okay.
The website did have what's called an invitation to bid, where it outlined the parameters of a demolition contract and asked contractors to submit a price for demolition of that building. And whether that went out to the contractors or not, I have no idea. It was just on their website. Charles?
When they came, when I first met them in 2001, they had some situations where they felt that they could move forward on their building. After a hassle, I know, and a petition that had gone around, where between 60 and 70 people had signed it in support of Mr. and Mrs. Benz. And they did go ahead and remodel the restaurant part of it. And they opened it for business for 6 weeks. And then I believe there was a thing in their marriage that they went their separate ways. So after that, Mr. Benz did nothing to restore or open the restaurant. And he had many resources to do this, but he chose not to. So he has basically said, I'm letting it fall down. I'm letting it go and it's gonna fall down because I'm gonna get even with the town.
Right.
Maybe the mayor or possibly the town clerk can explain to the audience and myself what the issues that Mr. Benz and Investment Property Services, I think, or whatever their name is, have outlined. I know they've called me and asked about the water hookup and elevating the building for flood. And can somebody itemize that list of their complaints?
Would you like me to?
I just asked you to, please.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that. The Benz have told me, or I should say Carl Benz, which is his legal name, by the way. Carl Benz has told me that he wants the town to pay for a new roof for his hotel. He wants the town to raise his building 3 feet, add 3 feet to the foundation so that it's up higher than it is now. He wants the town to reinstall a fire suppression system. He wants the town to fix his electrical system. He wants the town to grant him a certificate of occupancy, and we get to pay for it, guys. His private building, our taxpayer money, goes to repair his building. I thought that was totally unreasonable and told him there's no way that's going to happen.
If you change your mind, can I be next on the list? Just in case.
It seems that a lot of the deterioration of the building has stemmed from the fact that it doesn't have a roof, acceptable roof.
Sure.
And just some interesting thought, I went back to the problem of the copper roof that was going to be on there, and I thought to myself, here's a person who buys a piece of property, and they're going to put a copper roof on it, and the copper roof is quite expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet when he's denied because it doesn't fit into a town's historical theme or something, he does nothing to put any kind of roof on it to protect his property, when he could have put a suitable roof to protect it for probably half to less than half of that, yet he decided not to. I don't know where the money he was going to put the copper roof on with went so fast that he didn't have enough money to put one at half the cost on there to protect his investment. And this is an investment company guy, I think. Property investment person. If anybody's looking for sympathy on him not taking care of his property, Teddy and I've had one in town for a long time, and we've protected it, and we've done it at our own cost. So the city can basically stay the hell out of that as far as I'm concerned. It's his baby.
As a matter of fact,
It's time
there are
for him to
laws.
do something.
There are Washington state laws that would prevent us
Prevent us
from doing that because we can't gift, and it would certainly be a gift from the town to the Benz to pay all the money to repair that building.
The sad thing is, it's a hell of a thing to lose a beautiful old building like
It
that.
is indeed. It is indeed. Bob?
I'm Bob Broad, living on Foster River Road, and if I could ask the building inspector to just itemize the deficiencies, because it's kind of an educational thing for us. I don't know if you got a list there, Mike?
I do. I pretty much have, I mean, the biggest thing is the roof, the shingles flying off and hitting people, and then of course the roof not being on is allowing, a ton of moisture to enter the building. And then there's egress issues. There's the porches, like I mentioned earlier, overhanging public space, and then there's some stuff on the west wall that's some HVAC equipment that isn't adequately fastened to the wall anymore. That's pretty much that's the major, public safety issues that are of a concern. And then there's some egress issues as far as people being able to get out of the upper stories if he was to ever open again. There's some stairways that he took down for security reasons.
Okay, thank you.
We're sending Mike's inspection report around for folks to look. Sorry, we only have one copy here, but it's got photographs of the, and of course, Benz has received this inspection report as part of the complaint. George?
I guess, I think we're all sort of on the same page here for the most part, and we'd like to see the building preserved, but we also see the hazard there and stuff. What is the next step? After this hearing, after this meeting, what is the next step the town can do or wants to do to pursue this?
So, I'm going to answer a part of that question, and I'm going to defer to Mr. Carson for the full answer. One thing we're going to do is consider what has taken place. I mean, we had the hearing scheduled, we sent out a notice, they didn't show for the hearing, so the town council and our attorney will consider what we do now. David, I don't know what other you can add to that, but.
Well, at this point, what needs to take place is the building inspector will need to consider everything that has taken place, all the testimony tonight, all the documents and papers that have been submitted, and then a written decision will be made. Then that decision will be submitted to the property owners, and the property owners will have a sort of procedural appeal rights to the council and beyond if they so desire. And then once all the appeals are exhausted, then a final determination on the property will be made. And that could include removal of the building if that needs to be done
At whose expense?
at the town's expense.
However, there would be a lien then assessed for the expenses to the property owner.
That is correct. Now, the owners may decide to come in and remediate that building. We don't know at this point. But they will certainly be given a sufficient amount of time to propose remediation, and Mr. Adelot is going to be in contact with them.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you for the train horn.
take a train break.
And that's the recording.
He's recording.
Sounds quiet.
I was going to say, Mr. Alon, you're certainly welcome to contact your constituents and discuss with them the activities that took place tonight. You're certainly also welcome to discuss with them their options with respect to remediation and restoration of that building. And you would certainly be doing your constituents a good service to do that.
Maydell?
I appreciate all the intricacies and complexities of this whole situation. I was surprised, and I don't know that this is relevant to the meeting, but I was surprised at one of the things that I believe you read earlier, that possibly the building inspector, someone has indicated a figure of something like $250,000 to restore and repair that building. Did I hear that correctly?
That's basically that figure says that it would at least cost that much. I mean, we're thinking it's probably gonna be like in the $3 to $5 million range to put that building back in any kind of operable state.
Oh.
So, if everybody here's got $100,000 they wanna kick down.
So Maydell, I think more specifically that number is a rough estimate of what it would take to remediate these situations that have been identified in the
Oh, I
inspector's
see.
report.
Because I was shocked. I thought, wow, we could fix it for $250,000. I knew I wasn't hearing right.
That would be,
Cost that much, get rid
that
of
would
the
be on a
mold.
case-by-case basis, right from the inspector's report, starting off with a new roof. And I'm sure that we could put a roof on that building for somewhere around $75,000. And then the other things would be replacing rotted beams, building new supports for the what is it, air handling unit, I guess it's
Right.
hanging off the side of the building, and repairing some of the rotted sections. That's what we would be estimating at $250,000.
I mean, most of the stuff on my report is, external structural stuff. I mean, inside the building, we haven't gotten in there yet, but everybody's seen the mushrooms growing inside. Takes a certain amount of moisture content in wood for mushrooms to grow. Start thinking about that. There's a lot of moisture in there. The whole building's gonna have to be gutted, dried out, mold tests done. It's gonna be extensive. If anybody has anything further to add, we've heard everything.
So I would thank you all for coming, and I appreciate your interest in this whole issue, this whole subject, and I think it's an expression of all of us feel that the hotel is, perhaps in my view at least, is the most iconic building in town. It's the building that appears in virtually every photograph of Skykomish, and I would hate to see it go. So that's my position. But we can't let it go the way it is. It's got to be remediated. So thank you for coming.